on pricing, we're there now, so let's stick with pricing for a minute.
Uh-huh.
We had a discussion earlier about,
Yeah.
and I know this is something that I've always been challenged with,
Hmm.
about number one, valuing yourself as an entrepreneur, as a startup, as a business owner. Sometimes we struggle to value ourselves,
Right.
and that impacts on our pricing. But also, we oftentimes, and this is a mistake a lot of people make, I hold my hand up, I've done it, is we
Hmm.
base our prices on our circle, those around us. So we'd look and say, well, would so and so pay that much for this service? Would
Hmm.
so and so be willing to pay for that type of service? And I think what you've shared, and you can expound on it, is you looked beyond your geographical kind of area and just went global.
Yes. It was okay. I decided that if I couldn't leave my hometown,
Hmm.
how else could I get to other people?
Yeah,
And when I discovered online marketing, it was like, okay, I could just go. I could at the press of a button, I could be anywhere.
yeah,
And for me, being able to have global reach like that, and honestly, it wasn't my intentions. There again, the training was meant to be to find out about me. It was never to
yeah,
go straight global. Honestly,
yeah,
that was more of a long-term goal. So I
yeah.
ended up getting her, ended up getting a client in Brazil. I ended up getting a client in Australia. I
Mm.
ended up getting a client in the UK. So it's like I went international like within months. It like within 2 months I was international,
Yeah.
and honestly, it was just amazing, honestly. And I feel like because of my positioning and how I presented myself when I entered into this space and when I entered into this market, I think that's what's also positioned people to respect me because I didn't come out like the average newbie. I didn't come out like, okay, everybody, get my little free ebook. I didn't
Mm.
do what everybody else was doing. And what I did was I looked at what everybody else was doing and I said, okay, how can I do opposite?
Yeah,
And that's what I did.
yeah. Okay. Note, remove free ebook off website.
That's funny.
No, it's good. It's good. It's challenging. I think what I love about this is, that there are certain people in the space and that they're out there. They're on like 80 odd grand a month. They're
Exactly.
kind of unreachable, in terms of having this conversation and engaging with them, and to hear just a real story that is challenging in terms of the income that you've made and the business you've built, the brand you've built, but it's attainable. And I think what it's shown me, and what hopefully it's showing the viewers, is that we can do this. We can
Yes.
do this. And I think a question I'd like to ask is how important was it for you to have everything in order? I think when you shared that, just that's a big thing. Like you said, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot of newbies, they they're not prepared for that. They're not prepared for clients in Brazil, for clients in Australia. So how important was it for you to have all those processes and systems in order?
It was huge. And the reason it was huge was because I knew that not having the proper systems in place was the reason why I was broke for 5 years with
Yeah,
3 businesses.
yeah,
So I knew, I was like, what is that missing link? And that missing link was not having the proper systems to take somebody from, hey, you fly, to, hey, let's make a deal.
mm,
And I think when people enter into any business, not just online marketing, but just a local business, a small business, whatever type of business, we don't
mm,
think about the yes. We don't think about that golden opportunity. We don't think
mm,
about Oprah rigging us up and saying, hey, I want you to be on my show. We
yeah,
think small. We're like, okay, well, I can just get this little cheesy website. I can get this little cheesy logo and I'll be good to go. And it's like you think it's small. If you wanna have a big brand, you gotta think big. And
yeah,
I think for most people, they don't really think about that golden opportunity. Like, really ask yourself, and this is a question I ask my students all the time: are you ready for the yes? Like, if
mm,
somebody called you right now and said, I want to buy 1,000 of your programs and I want you to come to all of these countries and deploy your signature program, can you do it? Do you even
yeah,
have the capacity? Do you even have the systems set up? So I
yeah.
think being somewhat prepared allowed me to be able to scale so fast.
Mm. Do you think that comes from a mindset of I don't say like a lack of faith. Like, okay, I'm going to do this. My business is going to be this, and I'm going to put all these things in place. But we'll see what happens. We'll just see what
Right,
happens.
right.
Where what you're sharing is it was a case of I'm having everything in place because eventually a yes is going to come. So do you think that mindset comes from, what are your thoughts in terms of where that mindset comes from?
Yeah, I believe the mindset comes from not giving up and not taking no for an answer, and not being that person that get chastised about not having it all in order. Like the
Mm,
most embarrassing moment is a client on the phone. They're like, "I'm about to give you $10,000," and they say, "Well, how do I get started?" And you
mm,
like, "Oh, well, give me a second." Like you're not even ready. Like where are you
yeah.
sending them to? Or better yet, I don't have a website. Like that's embarrassing. And
Mm,
people have these big fairy tale dreams. They want it all. They want the mansion. They want to be able to travel. They want home freedom,
mm,
but they're not preparing themselves from a branding perspective. They're not prepared from a strategy level. They're
yeah.
not prepared from a systematic level for automation, and they
Mm.
don't understand marketing for their target audience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, starting out in the business and marketing space,
Hmm.
obviously I built my business previously. I run a youth engagement agency. I've just stepped in, not just, but since January, I stepped out into the business and marketing space. And
Hmm.
when I took that transition, one of the core things that I'd done was hired a coach. And
Hmm.
that was one of the first things my coach challenged me to do. She says, off the bat, out the door, I want to see the money links on your website. I want to see your coaching program. I want to
Right.
see, your client qualifying questionnaires, things like that. I want to
Mm.
see those things up and ready to go. Don't wait for someone to come before you start thinking about putting those
Exactly.
things in place.
Yes.
Thinking about, how I'm going to charge them and how I'm going to bill them and how much am I going to charge them. You don't make it up off the top of your head. You have those things in place, ready to go off the bat. So when they turn up, it's like, yeah, this is how much it is. This is how you pay. This is the process. Here's the questionnaire. Fill that
Mhm.
out. Get it back to me, and we can get going.
Right, and it also shows you as a professional. It also shows you as an expert, and it also
Mm,
allows the person that's giving you money to feel good about the investment. They're
yeah.
no longer on the fence on what you charge, because if people say, okay, well, how can you charge $5,000 or how can you charge $10,000 for a coaching program? Google me. That's my answer. Just Google me. I'm
Yeah.
legit. Everything about me is legit, from my website to my social media presence, from my email newsletter to my signature program. I see so many people, they spend so much money on these really, really nice sales pages, but then when
Mm,
you get into their program, you're like, what happened? It's like you dropped the ball on your members area, or your Facebook group sucks. So it's
mm,
just really being cohesive and making sure everything is consistent, and also making sure that the experience that the client get initially is the exact same thing across all platforms. You
yeah.
know.
Yeah.